Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in again. My name's Daniel Happney. I'm here with Luke Rudkowski. We're here at Faneuil Hall, and I ran into Luke a couple times, and here we are, we're at a Ron Paul event, and I thought I'd introduce you people out there, all you ones in that lens, to Luke, and find out, actually what I want to do is I want to find out more just about Luke, and not so much what you're doing, but what makes you you, what made you you, you know, the stuff in behind it all. When I say in behind it all, gosh, I've met you and I've seen, I've seen your work, and I've been to different events with you, and you impress the heck out of me. And it's so much so that I point out to my children, I say, look what a real man is. But what makes, what made the character? What in your upbringing?
It's very hard to say exactly what happened, but I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, my mom always taught me how to be humble and to always be honest and never tell a lie. And just seeing what's going on now, it's kind of hard to believe we live in a world that we do. And just growing up in Brooklyn, coming here as an immigrant, and just living a life, a legal immigrant at first, but coming here to New York City at the age of 10 as a kid, you learn a lot, especially when you don't speak English, when you're just thrown into a public school. Wow. Yeah, and that's a lot that makes me who I am, and also, what really got me involved into this movement was being affected by it. I was actually assaulted by the police department before I even got involved with anything. And it took me being a victim of police brutality to make me understand that I should stop being a victim, period, and we should start doing something positive. And we should fight for what's right and to stand up for what's right. And that's your rights, and that's civil liberties, and that's everything we believe in.
It's funny, they say nowadays they don't teach, when I say don't teach, my children going through the educational system, even in Sharon and stuff, they're barely even shown things like the Constitution. They're told that they exist, they're told that these people worked hard, they fought hard, they gave up their life, their liberty, their pursuit of happiness to go provide us with this blessing, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights and all that stuff. And it amazed me, and I'm trying to get my audience to understand that, hey, every now and then you have to get up, you have to do something. It's not just, you sit back and watch. I always, the founders did all this stuff, and they knew that it would be the people that maintained it, or it would be the people that let it go. Yeah,
education is a beautiful thing. Knowledge is power, but unless we use that power, it's useless. And we all have to understand, with great knowledge, great truth comes great responsibility, and it's up to everybody to understand that it affects them, and that they have to do something because, if they're not doing something, they're complacent. They're going along with it. They're allowing it to happen. And I really think a lot of negative things that happened, in the past years, I think the American people have allowed it to happen. And I think once the American people raise their consciousness and understanding that they are the people, we are the people. It's for the people, by the people in America, not the other way around. And once we understand that, I think we can do anything.
I'm with you. The other thing, too, is that I came to this Ron Paul event, and I'll be presenting people. I've already shown the people in Sharon. Matter of fact, airing this week, hopefully you're watching, is our first fully Ron Paul episode and stuff. And I was very impressed by not only the speakers and stuff, but just the people and the fact that these people knew that, there's something important going on, that consciousness waking. That's what I'm trying to do for these folks on the lens back there, is a consciousness waking to where also, too, they start realizing that, hey, there's people that they love, there's people that, that are in their lives that are going to be affected if they do nothing. When you started saying, I'm thinking, gee, the do-nothing folks, because around the world, you see them all over. They're involved in this and that, and it's whatever's important to those people at their times. But the do-nothing thing is, somebody said, well, you get what you deserve. You get the government you deserve if you do nothing and stuff. And that's not all right with me, because I've got children. And just because these other people do nothing and won't fight for their liberties, that's not the government my children deserve. Yeah. That's not the future that my neighbors deserve. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, that we all deserve. I mean, that's one thing that really drives me too, is thinking, if I'm going to bring a kid into this world, are they going to have to go through the same things I'm going through? Are they going to have to go to school in the subway and be searched by the cops like they're doing in New York City? They're searching random people in New York City just by going into the train system, just by going into the bus. And and this is one segment of the police state that we live in New York City. I mean, they have road checks everywhere. Warrantless searches everywhere.
And it's that condition. To me, it's a conditioning thing. When I see stuff like that, it's getting the people. It's funny, even in our hometown, it was either in Sharon or Foxborough, towns that I reside in, they did like a lockdown. And I'm like, what are you doing with lockdowns? If it's that big of an emergency, you should be getting the people out of the facility. Unless, the threat's outside, but there's a threat. The whole conditioning, when you said, gee, even on subways, on school buses or whatever in school, open up, show us your papers, who are you, all that crap. To me, that is such, it's kind of like, I was doing something yesterday, came to Faneuil Hall. By the way, we're here at Faneuil Hall today and all that, but I was listening to people, and now in the common culture, a little while ago, I don't know, we'll probably play it for the viewers, and that is, they had the gentleman questioning Kerry. Here's a college student questioning John Kerry at some event or speech or something, and 5 people are holding him down, and then they decide to tase him. And nowadays, the "don't tase me, bro" thing, it's coming into our, I don't know if you call it consciousness or lexicon or whatever, where that's funny. And it's not funny. People have to, my viewers have to understand that, the whole torture game, that whole conditioning of the police state it's wake-up time, folks. It's like go time to get up and fight for your civil liberties.
Yeah, it's conditioning. They take, no, not at all. They take a little bit, then they take a little bit more and more and more and more until we're left with nothing. And that's pretty much where we're at right now, with the Constitution being obliterated, with all the laws going into effect, with all the police state measures going into effect, with Paris Hilton on TV and all this ignorance on TV, and we're really not being told the truth about what's really going on, about how our freedoms are being taken away, and they are single-handedly being taken away every day. I mean, in school, in New York City, I used to have to go through metal detectors. I used to have to swipe my ID, medical checks. You have to have your vaccinations. It's sick, and living it right now as a young person, I don't want my kid living like that. Thinking about it, do I really want to bring a kid in this world? No, because look how we have to live, and that's one thing that people have to understand. Being complacent now, you're setting forward something extremely negative for your forekids, for your kids to come, for your kids' kids to come. Because you're allowing a little bit of that freedom to be taken away, and it's being taken away slowly, incrementally.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant way of doing it, because they understand once they take away all freedom at once, people will rebel. But once they condition the people into being slaves, into relying on the government, that's how you get into the trap, and that's what they're doing right now.
Gosh, I got to give you this. My father, an oracle of wisdom, passed away, no longer with us. But I remember one time we were talking about something, and he said, "Well, let me describe food stamps to you." And of course, it's sold to the people that food stamps is a great thing, and I'm sure it's helping out some people out there, maybe a lot of people. But my father said, "Think of this analogy. There's a gentleman who lives, he's got a farm, and he's got a bunch of wooded area and stuff, and there's wild pigs out there in the woods. And somewhere out in the woods is a clearing. And so what the guy does, this farmer, he's not a dummy, he takes some food with him, bucket of slop, whatever pigs or wild boars like, and he goes marching out, and when he gets out to the woods where the clearing is, all the wild animals run for the woods. And he walks out to the middle of the clearing and he puts down the food. It's 12 noon. Then he goes home. And he does this repetitiously for 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. Every day now, the animals are used to seeing about noontime, in comes the free food guy. And so the first couple weeks, they're still a little leery. They know man is not good, well, for them anyway. And so they're at the edge of the clearing. Then next thing you know, they're at his feet waiting for the food to hit the ground. And he said, my father said, then the next thing that they would do is the guy would take the food out, and he's got a section of fence. And he put the food down, and off he just put in one section of fence. And he goes, on the last day, he swings the gate closed behind him. And he has these people exactly where he wants them. When I say people, it's they're dependent on him for food. And all of a sudden, he's entrapped them. And it's that slow, like I say, almost like a conditioning thing. We've given up. I don't mean to get windy. I want to talk about you. No. I get to talk all the time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What made you start We Are Change, and how did the idea come across to you?
We Are Change was always like the youth group of another Not Alone Truth organization, and I've been out there for about 4 years now in New York City, Ground Zero every Saturday, and it came to a point where the Not Alone Truth group, this one guy who was in control of everything, he kind of believed towards the New World Order. He believes in socialism, he believed in the United Nations, and he had faith in our government and wanted to lobby. We, of course, had a different view. This gentleman kind of took away from everything. We were left with nothing, literally nothing. We used to have everything, a website, email list, money, everything to happen, and then this guy took away everything. We started off new, And we got all the young people, we got all the activists from that not 11th organization who realized something's wrong here, who came through our side. And it was more of a community thing. It was not like one person is leader, we were all leaders. And it was amazing to see, you know, we didn't have nothing, but then we all took $1 out, put it on the table, and we bought flyers, and we were able to go out Saturday. And it was a small community that grew, and it grew, and it grew, and we just got sick, we got fed up. We saw people like Brzezinski speaking, we were like, you know what, it's time we confront them. It's time we go out there and we talk to them. We saw people like David Rockefeller, we found out where he lives. We're like, you know what, it's time to wait outside his house, it's time to talk to him about what's really going on. And it took us being pissed off. It took us losing one of our greatest members, Dan Wallace. It took us all the negative things to happen for all these positive things to happen. And it just grew out of nowhere, and I'm surprised. I never expected it to grow as big as it did. We have 30 chapters internationally all over the world, even in most of the chapters are in the United States, and it's grown amazingly, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I've seen some of your work. I've seen some of your chapters work, and kind of like you said, the fact that no central leader set up, okay, where people become leaders themselves, okay. I always say to my viewers, I tend to end shows and I'm saying, hey, if there are any real men out there, you know, find me. You know, I haven't been contacted yet, but I'm sure in this little town that I reside in, Sharon, that there are men out there, or people that want to start being a man. And, you know, where asking questions isn't a bad thing. Recently, yesterday or whatever, I was over at Faneuil Hall, and I'll be introducing the people of Sharon to Mr. Stephen Jones, who finally, you know, shows here's scientific evidence. Okay, that you know, explosives were used. We've classified the explosive. We have evidence of the explosive. You know, and now it's not a question anymore. It's not an if thing. It's not a hey, this and that. But well, first off, I'm real proud of you.
Yeah, we definitely have to stay away from leaders. We definitely have to stop looking up to people. We have to look upon ourselves to do what we have to do. Because again, if we don't do what has to be done, we're complacent. We're allowing it to happen.
Well, that's the whole exactly. It's like saying nothing. When you first said that, you had mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to say there was a great Martin Luther speech. I had learned a little bit about Martin Luther King growing up, whatever they give you in school system, but I didn't really embrace it, didn't know it enough. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I started being concerned, getting involved, that I listened to his speeches, all of them, and there was one where he said, hey, this is not the time for silence. He was talking against the Vietnam War, saying that, hey, for this nation to be the great nation that it is, this is not the time to be silent about it. And I think we're in that time. When I say in that time again, it's going to take us. I lost my other train of thought, but
just like Martin Luther said, you know, there comes a time where silence is betrayal.
Yes.
And that's what people also have to understand, that unless people look within themselves and empower themselves and understand what power they have, you know, until then, you know, we're still going to be living the way we are. Until we all realize it, then we can change it. Then we can live the world we live in, and then, you know, in an ideal society. But again, another reason why we're staying away from leaders is because also my experience with the other truth group. This one guy who was the so-called leader, he always claimed himself to be the leader. He was in control of everything, and then he took away everything. He stole the money and he did everything. And that's why, you know, coming out of that, it was like, you know what, why do we have to look up to somebody? Why does one person have to decide everything? You know, we should all decide and do what's right and what feels right. And that's what's great about our organization, We Are Change, is that we don't have a leader.
It's wide open, right?
It's wide open. Anybody can be a part of change as long as you do what's right, as long as you be the change that you want to see in this world. And our main goals are just helping out the first responders who are dying and sick because the EPA's lied, getting them proper medical coverage and media coverage, so their whole story gets exposed. And also,
instead of silenced and crushed.
Exactly.
I mean, you know about it. You're in New York, but it's funny up here, just a little bit, Boston, 200 miles away or whatever we are. You know, the people in Boston, they know nothing about the first responders, about, you know, all the problems that they've had. The police, the fire, anybody who was even living down there or down there working the pile. You know, some people came there, well, from all walks of life to try to help.
I think that story shows the mentality of our government. It exposes something that is critically important, because on 9/11, those buildings were full of asbestos. We all know that. They were built with asbestos.
Yeah, they were big white elephants. I had customers in them. I'd been in them. I'm with you.
Exactly. And when they came down, when the EPA did their test, they knew knowingly the air was not safe to breathe. There was asbestos, there was mercury, there was cataract tubes. It was a whole chemical mess down there. And they knowingly lied to open up the stock market. And this is declassified, there's government documents. And it shows the mentality of the government. They ruined 50,000 lives of heroes. I mean, these guys are utterly heroes for cops military personnel, people who fought in the war, firefighters who go into burning mills. These people gave their lives on 9/11, and they're losing them now because of the government, because of the lies they were told on 9/11. And they lied just to open up the stock market and make money, just for that profit.
I'm
with you. And it just hurts me because it affected me personally, because I know many friends who were affected by it. And let me just share one story really quick. It's of David Miller. He fought in the first Iraq War, he fought in the second Iraq War, and I think he also fought in Afghanistan. On the day of 9/11, he got his gear. He was like, he didn't ask no questions. His wife told him not to go. He still went down there. Now, I mean, the guy has lung cancer, neck cancer, head cancer, lost about 60% of his lung capacity. He, and he's a good guy off because he has money for his medical bills. There's people out there who don't have money for their medical bills, who don't have money to even feed their families now, so they can't work. And it's people like that that I think all of America needs to understand how they were victimized and used by our government.
David Miller?
Yes, David Miller.
David Miller. Well,
National Guardsman.
A little bit about the 6th anniversary and what you guys did there too, because that's also to benefit all the you guys probably I've never seen anyone else do anything for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one's doing it like so. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Can I throw one thing before you go into that? And that's, how you said, right after, open the stock market back up. Well, also, too, I remember the other lies, and I try to tell my listeners and stuff that we're being lied to constantly. I remember we should all run out and buy an SUV. Remember that joke of a story? Solve the problems, go out and buy an SUV.
Shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Go shopping, go down there. So, I was fortunate enough to make it down this September or whatever. Tell us about, how it was that we were able to help some of the responders or, benefit them by things that were going on in the
Again, our organization is about just being the change we want to see in this world. And us being around a lot of first responders, we understood that these guys need help. Critical emergency help. These guys pay about $7,000 a month per medication. And a lot of guys who can't work can't pay that bill, and they're dying because they can't get their proper medical bills. And the unemployment agencies, the health insurance, medical care, they're all ignoring these guys. The government is ignoring these guys, and these guys aren't given a single cent for what they went through on 9/11. And again, these guys needed help. So what we did, we threw off a big 5-day event with the premiere of Loose Change Final Cut, with the premiere of Endgame, and we decided that all the profits from that event should go to the first responders, because that's what needs to be done, because they need the money more than anybody.
Because that's the right thing, and you do the right. I'm with you.
Exactly.
You do the right things.
Yeah, we stay away from just it's not about making money. It's not about being a leader and about making money. Because if you're in this movement for that reason, you're in it for the wrong reasons. And that's exactly what we're trying to show by being examples. We don't need the money. People will donate whatever we need to donate, but that profits, it should go to the people who need it. And by doing that, I think we showed a great example to the movement that we need to be proactive, not just protesting, not just having arguments, but we also need to help the people who need the help. And another also step of weird change is to help out homeless people. We're working on setting up soup kitchens. Our chapter in New Jersey feeds and shelters homeless people every Sunday, and that's something that we see that change needs to be done in, and that's what we're going to pursue, and that's what we're going to do.
Excellent. My sister, my wife, even tell me, I try to always end stuff on a. When I say try, I haven't always. Sometimes they call me Danny Downer, right? Because I hate when you bring the truth. Sometimes it's not pretty.
Yeah,
sometimes it's not happy. But you've done something good where you've showed people that, hey, you can take that truth, you can take that knowledge, and you can do good things that help people and that help the future. And as you say, be the change you want to be.
Exactly.
Luke,
that's the Gandhi quote.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the people watching, listening, and just again, if you're sitting on there, you're doing something wrong. But if you're getting up, you're doing something right, and that's what needs to be done.
Can I do a downer thing just to pick your brain because you're a New Yorker?
Anytime.
Not ask me. Tell me about. I want to call him Giuliani, but you know what? It really irks me when I look at like Rudy, and once again, we've been lied to so many times. I always do my lies with my viewers, and I say, well, gee, when there was warrantless wiretapping, they lied.
Yeah.
And then it was shown that they were doing it. Oh, yeah, we're doing it. When there was secret prisons, they lied.
Yeah.
Oh, we got caught doing secret prisons. Sorry.
WMDs.
Well, I finished with that, but that got us into wars and stuff. But then, it's like, gee, torture. We don't torture people. Oh, now they lied. So now they've legalized all this crap. But here's Rudy the clown, who's, runs away from the scene, okay? Down there, 9/11, he leaves his, quote, command bunker that, I'm sure they tax the heck out of the people, but as a New Yorker, here up here, they, the media, once again, what happens in New York seems to say like local to New York for some reason, where you think it'd go out, and it only goes out in alternative media. But on the major media, you know it, and I see it, and we face it. I mean, my viewers know it. But as a New Yorker, give me the New Yorker end of it. I've seen things from firefighters on Giuliani that you're not seeing it on the news.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani is the worst presidential candidate in 2008. Whatever you do not vote for this man. He's a crook, he's a liar. And most importantly, not just for me, but just listen to the story of the firefighters. Listen to the stories of the first responders. Look what they tell him. Look what they say about him. Research that. And this man is an outright crook. He's working towards the North American Union, destroying national sovereignty with his law firm. He's working,
He's working for Centra down in Texas.
Exactly.
They bought the 800 newspapers that go from Texas to Oklahoma or whatever.
Yes, and they're not covering it. That's why they're not talking about the North American Union.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not even talking about it on the mainstream media. And that's why people have to go to your show to see it and to talk about it. And again, Giuliani, the man lies about everything. The man is not a hero. The man spent more time at Yankee Stadium than he did at the pit at Ground Zero. I know many first responders that tell me, the guy used to just come there, take pictures, and leave, and then go to Yankee Stadium. And it's even there's even documents, there's even official times that say he spent more time at Yankee Stadium than he did at Ground Zero. And for him to outright say he's a first responder, he was there more than another first responder.
And he's Mr. Don't even start with me.
And he's Mr. Not
Loser.
It's sick because he's also the main one who told everybody there, safe to breathe, don't wear your masks, and this is what
get
led,
back to work, everything's fine.
Him and Whitman, even Chris Todd Whitman said in congressional hearings that Giuliani's lied. It was Giuliani who also lied to the American people, to the New Yorkers, to the first responders, and he said the air is safe to breathe. And he knowingly did that.
Well, the more they find out about the guy, the worse he's. But I just wanted the local people up here to understand that once again, that media that's lying to you, once again, we went through those 5 lies, okay? Lied to you about the air quality and stuff, lied to you about the explosive that just now are coming out, okay? That they're lying to you about him and about so much else. And that you have to, the Americans, they have to wake up, okay? Whether it's people in, Sharon, Massachusetts, or anywhere in the world. It's wake-up time. This is the time where you do something, not you sit on your butt and you worry about, gee, am I going to get some toy for the kid, or whether or not the Patriots are going to, score another touchdown.
It's either now or never. I mean, we live the world we live into, and we make it what we are. We make the world. We make our lives. We decide. We allow things to happen. Once we understand we have the power as people to do what we want and to stop and to do the right things, we can do anything.
Thank you, Nick.
As long as we know it, as long as we believe it, we can do anything.